Welcome to episode number 10 of Actionable Insights. I am your host, Joseph Maxwell. Today, we have an incredible guest, Andrew Davis. He's really had a colorful career, as you're going to hear in just a couple of minutes. He's spent time at NBC. He ran his own successful marketing agency. He worked on The Muppet Show. He's a best-selling author with some incredible books, Brandscaping and Town Incorporated. The cool thing is he is constantly traveling to share his wealth of knowledge. He's making videos. Actually, he has a YouTube channel, has almost 2,000 subscribers. So please subscribe to that channel. You might be the lucky person just to push him over the edge to hit his 2,000 subscriber mark. His videos are called The Loyalty Loop. Listen to it, watch them. They are well worth your time. And as an added bonus, my Magento friends, in the Magento space, he wears orange glasses. Orange glasses, that's pretty good. All right, well, before we get into this though, if I could invite you to subscribe to this podcast, it's just literally clicking a button or two, so simple. And if you really find this helpful, a review on iTunes or on Apple Music. They're constantly changing this name. Apple Music, Spotify, or any of these other great podcast aggregators. Would you mind leaving me a review? I would, it would make my day to have a review left. Hopefully it'll be 5-star. Make my day, because I love pulling together this content, this information for you to inspire you to be even better. So maybe you could pull that off for me. I'd be really grateful. All right, so join me in welcoming Andrew Davis. It's great to have you on the podcast here today.
Hey, it's so great to be here. Thanks for having me on Actionable Insights.
Yes, it is awesome having you here. I've been really looking forward to this interview for a while. So give me a little overview as far as your perspective. What is the impact that you have made on, sounds like a lot of people in your career in marketing?
Well, from an impact standpoint, I started in the television business actually, so had nothing to do with marketing, which was lots of fun. And then, I worked in television news. I worked for the Today Show and produced, and wrote. I worked for the Muppets, which was really fun. At the Jim Henson Company, helping, make sure that the puppets were delivered on time and scheduled. So, if you ever saw Bear in the Big Blue House when you were a kid or Muppets from Space, that's my contribution from the Muppet world, working on those.
Nice.
Those things. Sesame Street, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
And then in the late 1990s, I got out of the television business in early 2000s and started my own agency. And that's when I got into marketing. And funnily enough, I worked with lots of people working on e-commerce platforms and very early versions of Magento and stuff. So, it was really helping people market their products by creating content that inspired demand for their products and services. So it was a lot of fun.
Sounds like it. Yeah, exactly. And just in the proliferation of the internet, it still seems like there is a massive void in providing helpful, informative content. And to be frank, I've loved the videos, your Loyalty Loop videos, and they have inspired me to really think about some of this stuff and how one presents yourself. That banking series, man, I 100% sympathize with that. I've been there, done that, and it's like I am stuck. I am locked in my current banking provider just because of you couldn't have nailed it any better. So, and I think that brings up what I would love to first pick your brain about and to understand, just learning who our customers are, because and I this is one of my favorite subjects, because we go into a physical store. Again, you went through the whole bonobos thing in some of your videos, but we go into a store and the representatives there should be able to understand us better than anybody else. They can pick up on our needs, our wants, etc. Understand who we are as a persona too, but that doesn't necessarily work online. So how do you suggest, and in your experience, what is some of the best ways that a merchant can identify, maybe people are buying from them, but ultimately maybe they could 10x their sales by understanding their core audience? How do they do that?
Yeah, well, okay. So the first thing, you're right. When you walk into a store and you have someone to play off of,
Right.
you can see that person. You can imagine what that person's wearing. You don't have to draw a picture in your mind. You actually see them and can talk to them. In the online world, it's almost the opposite. It's like you're sitting in a closet. And every day somebody hands you a sales report from outside in the store.
Exactly.
And that's like, this is what happened out there. And you're like, well, we didn't sell much. And you're like, I don't know why. It's a very different situation. I think in the online world, the keys are to ensure that you help the customers you want to buy from you know that they should be buying from you. You want it to be self-selective, which means you actually want people to come to your website and immediately be able to go, this is not for me.
Whoa.
Not for me.
But that sounds really scary, because the last thing, I mean, that's what every merchant wants, is like everyone to buy from them. So that how does that work? This is interesting.
The problem is when you are for everyone, you're actually for no one. You do not stand out. Let me give you a good example. Anybody right now, don't do it right now because you're listening to a podcast. Maybe you're driving. Do it later. But check out lingscars.com. Lingscars.com. Lings cars.com. Okay. Now, imagine you're going to lease a car, right? You're going to go out and you're going to figure out what car you want to lease, and then you're going to find the best deal for that lease. If you go to 5 car leasing websites, they all look the same. And you can, I mean, right now, Joseph, you can probably picture what they look like. It's got a pretty picture of a car.
Of course.
It advertises their low APR, and it's trying to constantly get you to fill out a form so that they can give you a quote on your lease. Like, we know what it looks like.
And spam you for the rest of your life.
That totally, exactly. And you're going to just never stop hearing from them until you report it as spam. Then they'll stop, maybe. Okay, now picture lingscars.com. When you go to lingscars.com, it is like a game show on acid blew up in your browser. And like immediately you're jarred. You're like, wow, what is this? I thought she leases cars, right? And what happens is it takes your brain out of being lulled into the normal experience, and it forces you to think for a second and say, wait a second, where do I find the car I want? How do I fill out the leasing form? And all of a sudden you're engaged in a way you never were engaged with any of the other websites. And look, that car, you go check it out. Lingscars.com is so ugly, it definitely turns away people. But here's the thing. She is the 3rd largest leaser of cars in the UK, and far and beyond every other professional firm. She does over $100 million in leases every single year.
Wow.
And her website is the ugliest website I've ever seen, because it's very clear about who she's for and who she's not for. It turns off some people, but other people love it. They engage with it. It has a personality. And these people tend to be younger. They tend to be really engaged by her kind of antics and weird things. And that's the difference between a company that stands out and one that doesn't. If you have an e-commerce platform or you're an online merchant that follows all the best practices, you are doing a great job of just blending in. You are like every mall in America where they dictate the size of the sign, and they tell you the storefront can't be this big, and the windows have to look like this, and you can only have this many people walking in and out of your store. When you do that, you do not stand out. So the first thing I want you to think of in an online world, you don't have to go crazy like Ling's Cars is, but you have to have a voice that makes me say, these people understand me. Start with some empathy, where it's like, I'm for this kind of person, not this type of person. So if you sell knives and you're an outdoor retailer and you have an online presence that's all about selling knives and flashlights and whatever, that's awesome. But don't look like you could use the same online store to sell headphones. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So make it feel, look, and sound different, and make sure that you know who you want to turn off, and more importantly, who you want to, but importantly, who you turn off. Who do you not want to be your customer is a really good question to ask.
That's incredible. Yeah, that is absolutely outstanding. And the thing is, it's like the antithesis. It's like you just don't want to do that. But I see what you're saying. It's that resonation. And I think an incredible example of this actually, and surprisingly, would be, say, Nike and their support for Kaepernick. It alienated some people, but other people just latched onto that. And, I just interviewed a couple, 2 podcasts ago, we interviewed Philip Jackson, and he talked about Crocs and how they're working with Post Malone. And to some people that could be really alienating, but other people just love that. And so that's exactly what you're saying there is, pick who you are and identify that, and don't be ashamed of it. Would that be a good summary?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Lean into it. You can't do it. You can't do it softly. There is no softly in online marketing. You have to immediately feel like I should be at this store or I should not be at this store. Think of it this way. If you take, I don't know if you've ever been to, oh my Lord, what's it called? American Apparel. Is that what it's called?
American Eagle?
American Eagle, is that a store they have lots of cologne and heavy music playing?
Oh, that's sounding familiar. I've never been to there. I've walked by it at the mall, but that's sounding familiar.
Okay, so if you go to a mall, let me find a better example. Okay, if you take your grandfather to Forever 21, he's not going to find anything, right?
That's for sure.
And he's going to be like, "This is not for me. I don't need leggings. Wrong store." That's exactly what you want to do in the online world. Who is this not for? And make sure you know who that is, and that they never mistake your store for them. Because as you're doing that, you're actually making the store for the people you want to attract.
Very good. Yeah, this is great. So how would you suggest figuring out what does resonate? So maybe I say that this is me, or maybe this is roughly me. So how would I as a merchant then go and hone in on this and to figure out this does resonate? Obviously it could be sales, but do you have any other inputs other than that will help in that process?
I think if you're, no great marketing is tame. Great marketing is risky, and by default, that's the stuff that stands out. So it is. I completely understand. It's risky to all of a sudden put on your website this website is not for you, because that might turn off the wrong people. Here's what you want to do. Because you're running an online marketplace, connecting with the customer is really difficult. So the first thing you should do before you decide to go out on a limb and do something risky is talk to some of your existing customers. And I mean, literally call them. Pick up the phone. It doesn't matter if you're the CEO of the company or you're in shipping and you have a question. You should be empowered to get to know the consumer that is already buying from you. So the next order that comes in, don't just pack it up and send it out. Pick up the phone before you pack it up and send it out, and call that person and say, you know what, you're like the third order today. And, I was just inspired to call you, and I wanted to first thank you for making the order. And I had an idea I wanted to run by you. Are you a big fan of Colin Kaepernick? If I was Nike, I would have done that. I would have asked some of those customers before I go and do it. Now, if they say, no, I hate him, then don't put that on your website immediately. Ask a few more customers, right? If he's the only person that didn't like it, well, then maybe you've got something good there. The truth is, people are going to not like your marketing. They're not going to not like your product. There are going to be people that complain, and those things actually make it great marketing. So don't be shy, but test first. And the best way to test that is with conversations with the consumers you've already got a relationship with.
That's outstanding, but the thing is, it takes action. I have to pick up the phone. I have to find that person. I have to call them and have to introduce myself. It's like a cold call in that way. Not quite like a cold, not exactly a cold call, but it takes that action. So, but that's an action item. Definitely be in the show notes here is pick up that phone, call people, and you will hear, if I could use this expression, straight from the horse's mouth, exactly what is important to them. No third party, no trying to piece it together through social media. You'll hear exactly what resonates with them. Bingo. That's
right. Let me make it easier for you. Once a day, call a customer. You don't think it's going to take 3 hours. Just pick up the phone with the first order that comes in on your desk every day, or go pick it up from the printer and just find that consumer's phone number and give them a ring. It's going to change your business. I guarantee it. The first thing they're going to say, here's how the conversations usually go. oh my gosh, you called me? Yeah, I called you. First, I wanted to thank you for making this order, even if it's only a small thing. Like, it's one of my favorite products, and I'm so glad you made the order. And then ask them one simple question. What inspired you to buy this item? That's key. You've got to use the phrase, what inspired you? Okay. Because if you ask people like, how did you end up finding out about us? Or, why did you buy from us? You get these very contrived answers. They try to tell you the answer you think you want to hear.
Right.
But when you ask someone to take you on their journey and say, what inspired you? They'll all of a sudden start giving you the real answer. For example, if you just bought furniture, if you just moved into a new house and you walk into a furniture store, what the furniture salespeople say is, hey, how can I help you today? What are you looking for? Like, if I walk in, I say, I'm looking for a couch. Well, that doesn't help them at all.
Right.
But if you say, hey, what inspired you to come into the furniture store today? They'll say something like, well, we just moved and the furniture we have is too small for our living room. We'd like to size that up. Well, now I know that he's not only shopping for, a couch probably, but a bunch of other stuff that's undersized for his living room. And I can start selling not just one item, but a whole list of items.
Wow.
And I know what the moment of inspiration was. So I can also say at the end of that conversation, hey, look, I know moving is stressful. You probably are going to realize that your bed needs to be replaced or you have something else. Give me a call. Let me know how I can help. And you also know how to follow up on those people. So look, ask one question. What inspired you to ...
Wow. That is incredible. I love it. Incredibly good advice. And the consistency, it's that consistency. Make it that habit every single day of calling somebody. Consistency, there is probably few tools that are more powerful than consistency. Just tortoise in the hair.
That's so true. There's a really funny story actually about the CEO of a company called Big Ass Fans. Have you ever heard of Big Ass Fans?
Yes, I have seen them quite. Go to the county fair, you see them spinning up in there.
Oh, exactly. That's them. Yeah, they're those. So, do you know the story behind their name? Have you ever heard that?
I have never heard that story.
Oh, it's really funny. So basically, the company used to be called High Volume, Low Velocity Fans. That was the name.
Okay.
And the CEO of the company, believed that this was a good name. And if you called them, they would answer. They were taught to answer the phone. High velocity, low volume fans. How can I help you? No, high volume, low velocity fans. How can I help you? And the CEO, one day had to fill in at the front desk for an hour while they needed him to, cover the front desk. So he was answering the phone for an hour, and just the CEO answering the phone for an hour. Here's what he heard: high volume, low velocity fans. Can I help you? And people would say, are you the Big Ass Fans people? Over and over for an hour. He heard people not hear the name and restate it as Big Ass Fans. And he even says that essentially that, he's no genius. He didn't come up with this great branding and this great name by going to some branding workshop and working on a dry erase board. All he did was listen to his customers. Right. He got off that hour-long, stint answering the phones and said, guys, we got to change our name to Big Ass Fans. And people are like, we're doing what? He's like, yeah, like that's what everybody calls us. Let's change the name.
That's great.
And it's done wonders. And you know what, Joseph, we talked about it before. It turns people off. Right. In fact, he had employees at the time who were like, man, I don't like the word ass in the name. I think that's inappropriate. Like, let's call it something else. And he said, no, I understand it upsets some people. That's exactly why it's going to work.
Right. And it does work. It does work. Absolutely. And I think that's a perfect tie-in though to this next segment. We talk about how to craft copy as we're writing information on the websites that really resonates. And again, you've done a great video about, I think the title was Why Your Website Isn't Speaking Your Prospect's Language. And again, I think in some of your banking adventures, which is well documented, how do we identify some of the concerns? And I'm kind of getting the drift that we've already answered this question in the form of these phone calls, but how would you suggest, from your perspective, we identify what concerns or this moment of inspiration for the customer?
Yeah, well, look, the key is to demonstrate it in your copy with extreme empathy. The problem with the online world is everything comes across as cold, even just text or emails or the copy on a page. If you think it's emotional, but you read it and it doesn't come across as emotional, it's because you need to amp it up to 11, You need to push the empathy really far. And so the key to making the consumer really believe that you understand them is to empathize with their situation and the moment of inspiration. I used to get these catalogs for like, I don't know, goofy products. This is like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like they're trying to sell like a fart cushion, so if we're doing that online today, you can go see the Amazon listing for fart cushion. It says like high tensile strength rubber fart cushion, good for 3,000 fart sounds, whatever.
Right.
And it's just like the facts. There's no emotion there. In the old days, in that catalog I used to get, it would say things like, does your brother annoy you? Is your sister silly? What you should do for your next family dinner, maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas, is buy a fart cushion and put it under their chair and really embarrass them. Embarrass everyone you know. And like that empathy defines the moment of inspiration. It's like, when am I going to use this product? Oh, I never thought about that. Now I'm into it.
Yes.
And it speaks the language of the consumer. Like you think it knows that these are little kids looking through this goofy catalog, and they're talking about brothers and sisters and family dinners, and like, you want to be the laughter of the party. Well, here's what the emotion you get out of it is. So you've got to first be able to, one, identify like the things that the moment of inspiration, then empathize with the situation, and then just give a simple, clear, but emotional call to action. It's not always, yes, you want them to hit the buy now button, right? But you want them to feel something when they buy it. So if you're selling flashlights, like the call to action, yes, is buy now, but the line before that should be like, see better in the dark, even in the middle of a hurricane. Like now I'm like, oh yeah, good. Like this is the flashlight for me. It's waterproof. It's that I live in South Florida.
So you would definitely relate then.
I would relate, right?
Exactly.
And maybe that's you can have two listings for the same flashlight. One's for people who live in South Florida and are going to hit hurricanes, and the other one is like the snowstorm flashlight. Same flashlight,
exactly,
but written for two different people.
Called personalization, right there. Right there.
So it's so simple, right? And you don't need artificial intelligence and all this crazy stuff to make that happen. You just have to get creative so that the consumer really feels like they know you. And this isn't a commodity product. It's something special for them.
Yes. I think one of the great examples that I've come across here recently, actually did an interview with her a little while ago, potionyarns.com.
That was a great interview, by the way.
Yeah. And it stands out to me, the amount of investment that she has invested in this yarn. And like, just to be really frank, I am not into knitting myself at all.
Me neither.
but I find those descriptions and the copy that she has put a lot of investment into, I find that fascinating and captivating. It's like, I actually find myself reading these type of descriptions, where normally I'm guessing there'd be thread count or origin and whatever stuff.
Right.
But this is
like color description.
Exactly. And so, okay, that's good. What would you say for a website that maybe has been in existence for years? Maybe they've gone down a particular path, or maybe it's a content manager at such a website, and because I think some of these ideas, while they're not necessarily new, I think they've been getting a little more traction here in the last few years. What would you say to this person and trying to figure out how can they right the ship a little bit, at least get it going in the right direction?
Look, it's an overwhelming task for anyone to say, I have a lot of products on here. I have a lot of content on here. The idea of like revamping everything is overwhelming to me. Sure. Here's my personal philosophy is your website is never done, right? The products are never complete. The descriptions are never finished. It should be an evolving beast, something that you're constantly changing. So here's the thing. If you're going to change your voice or you want to get more empathetic, the first thing you should do is find the worst selling product on your website, literally the worst, and just go to town, like overdo it. Like write some crazy stuff that gets people excited about the worst performing product on your website, because the liability is so low, right? If you're selling 0 of those units every week, you can't get less than 0. So if you improve it by 1, you just doubled sales, right?
Exactly.
So start with the stuff that you know isn't working, because it gives you a lot of leeway. It keeps the liability and risk low. You're not messing everything up. And set a goal to do one product a week or one product a day or one page a month, and just spend the time to revamp it in an organized way.
Right.
And when you're done, start over. Look, the Golden Gate Bridge is painted every 7 years, but it's not like it takes 7 years it does take 7 years to paint it. So what happens is they start at one end on Monday, 7 years later they end on a Friday.
Wow.
And they come back on Monday and start going the other way. It's never finished being painted. And you need to think about your website the exact same way. It is never done.
Wow. And I've never heard that suggestion, start at the worst performing product. But that makes a lot of sense, because people would normally say, well, let's start optimizing our best selling product. Let's try to squeeze a little more juice out of that. But your point is exactly right on, because especially if you are going to start taking risks and transform how you present yourself, if you can start selling the worst selling product, you are certainly going to see a bump in your best-selling products.
And most importantly, Joseph, you're right. You're going to learn, right? You're going to learn what starts to work. And by the time you start working on your best-selling products, you're only making the tweaks and changes that you've seen deliver results in the previous 50 or 100 products that you've been changing. So, but it's just like the phone call. Look, we're building a daily schedule for people. It's like in the morning, take your latest customer and give them a phone call, just one. Ask them one simple question.
Right.
And two, change one thing on your website. Take a product that sucks and rewrite it and see if you start to see a change. Exactly. And if that doesn't work, rewrite it again, or pick a different product and rewrite it. But don't let it just sit there and wallow in sameness, because it's certainly not going to get any better if you don't do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Yeah, perfect. So another area I'd like to delve into with you here is kind of specifically going back to your video series. You've done a lot of discussion about this, about keeping customers coming back, because ultimately with the cost of acquiring a new customer, and that's constantly on the rise with Google and Facebook and all that taking more and more revenue from their ads, etc. Anytime you can keep a customer coming back, get a customer to come back, and certainly you documented it well with your Bonobo story and how you are probably not going to be going back there. But all the takeaways that you have from that are really good. What would you say, if we were to boil this down, there's probably 100,000 ways to help a customer come back. But what would you say would be, if there was one, what the number one way to encourage somebody to come back, to ensure that they come back to retain their loyalty?
Yeah. Okay. So the number one way is to create new moments of inspiration for them. So a lot of us are focused on, after we get their email address, sending them the weekly promotions or the discount code for the holiday season, and just pushing product in their face. And the truth is, most consumers today want to feel like they're in control of the experience. And the goal is not to push a new product in their face that you think they'll like, but actually create a moment in their mind that sends them on a journey they never expected based on the previous experience they've had with you. Okay. And all you have to do really to do that is get them to feel the way they felt when the last product arrived in their life, and suggest a new feeling for the new product. And I can break it down very simply, actually, Joseph, because there's only 6 things you can do to create a great customer experience. Okay. And they're really straightforward. The first thing you can do, it starts with before they buy the product and before it arrives in their lives. You see, people are actually the happiest before the product arrives in their lives. So you might think they want overnight shipping. And yes, consumers demand overnight shipping or fast shipping today. But the truth is, you can actually get them more excited about your product if you raise anticipation for the product's arrival in their lives. That means the minute they order it, what are you doing to get them more excited about the product before it gets there? Wow. We've talked about flashlights. Let's stick with flashlights. Sure. So if you order a flashlight, what are you doing between the time you get the order and the time it arrives to get them more excited about that flashlight? Can you send them a little video that's like, hey, when you get it, like, here's the coolest feature about this flashlight. It goes like this and like that. And they're like, whoa, didn't know that. So excited. Can't wait till it gets here. You got to raise anticipation. The second thing you need to do is maximize their honeymoon period. You need to start understanding when they're most excited about that flashlight. Because I can tell you right now, it's not the moment they get it. Imagine you get it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's fun to turn it on. The first time it's actually dark out and they're really need to go, I don't know, walk the dog. That's the first time they're most excited about it.
Right.
That's when you want to ask them, hey, you ordered this, we sent it. Instead of just sending the confirmation and saying, can you review it? You maybe want to send it at 1 a.m. and say something clever like, we're sending this at 1 a.m. because we know you ordered a flashlight.
Wow.
And it's probably dark right now. You should test it right now. And after you've tested it, if you love it or hate it, I want you to write a review. That's maximizing the honeymoon period because it's about when you ask for it. Re-inspiring them to get on that next journey is the next phase of it. Like, hey, I know you're really excited about it right now. Right. That's the moment you want to re-inspire them. So you want to be able to say something like, you know what? We also have holsters for that flashlight. And I noticed you didn't buy one. You're probably going to need a holster. Like, here it is. Buy it now. That's sending them on a new journey, right? You see what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So those are the first three. Do we have time for the last three?
Oh, absolutely. I'm loving this. Okay. Absolutely. Go ahead.
The last three are, you've got to answer their trigger questions. Okay. When you send someone on a moment of inspiration, a lot of us pack a lot of information into those emails or those interactions. So it's like, hey, you love the flashlight. We know you tested it at 1 a.m. So glad you could see in the dark. Hey, just so you know, we have holsters. That's enough. All you want to do is create a little trigger in their mind. It might even be, what the hell is a holster, right?
Exactly.
That's their trigger question. So if you say, want to know what a holster is? They're like, oh, I'm in control of the journey. Yeah, I do. Click. And when they get to that page, it's like, a holster is a great thing to hold your flashlight in, attaches to your belt. They're really cheap. And we have a special one just for your flashlight. You've answered their trigger question and makes them feel in control. And the next step is remove the friction. So if you already know that consumer, I mean, this is like best practice from a marketplace standpoint, especially on an online world. You don't want them to have to re-log in or put in a new credit card. You may even want to just say, reply to this email if you want the holster, and we'll send you a receipt when we've charged your same credit card from before, and mail it. Remove friction, right? Make it easy for me. I don't want to have to fill out the form again. Like, just keep it simple. And then the last one, after removing friction, is scale camaraderie. This is a tough one for us to embrace, but in an online world, it's really important. You've got to expose the people behind your brand, the people who power your brand, to the consumers you're working with. So, for example, if I'm Bob and I'm in shipping, and I'm the first person that's going to touch your order, instead of just sending the order confirmation with like a receipt, why don't you send something that's actually from Bob? And it's like, hey, I'm Bob. I'm the guy that's going to be packing the stuff this afternoon. So excited you ordered from us. Can't wait for you to receive it. And you know what? I'm handing it over to Jenny, whatever, in trucking next. Like, expose that. And now I'm like, I've got a connection with the brand that's really important. Scaling camaraderie is what I call reverse personalization. It's making the brand feel personal to me.
Wow. Exactly.
So those are the 6 things.
Yeah, exactly. And I particularly loved that a couple of those points, but that last one did stick out to me, and how I don't know. I think especially for smaller companies, we want to hide behind this. We're a really big company. We have a 1-800 number. We have this massive website, and we have, even if it's a one-person show, it's us and we and our and all that. But instead, it's not a bad thing. In fact, I think it's on the opposite. I think it's a really good thing to say, hey, we're a family. We're people. We are someone just like you are. When you're buying from us, you're supporting us. Here's Bob in shipping. He's going to fulfill your order, or Jenny is getting ready to put it on the truck or whatever. It's that we're friends. We're people. We're here together. So
that's so true. Here, I can tell you, there's I don't know about you, but I definitely order a lot of stuff on Amazon, and I never leave reviews. If you buy it from a third-party vendor, you get those review requests like, please review, please. Me neither, right? So here's the thing, just to make your point and emphasize it, I get those review requests and I just hit delete.
Right.
Well, when I bought a product, it's like a connector for my laptop that has, it's like a multiple input connector thing, I bought one of those for my laptop, and when I got it from Amazon, it inside was a little gray card, and it looked like it was a handwritten note, and it said like, hi, we're Charlie and Jenny, the people behind Gen Pro. Get it? And it was like,
Yes.
that was the name of the company. It was like
Wow.
Charlie, Jenny, attached together. And then it said, when we started this business, we wanted to make technology products that made people's lives easier. And we hope we've done that for you. If we have, please take a moment to leave a review. It makes all the difference in our business so that we can help more people like you. The first thing I did was go leave a review for Charlie and Jenny, the people behind the brand, right?
Yes.
And when I got there, by the way, you should check them out. Check out Charging Pro on Amazon. Go read the reviews. And here's what's amazing. Hundreds and hundreds of those reviews mention the little gray card.
Wow.
They say, I've never gotten a little note from a company before. Charlie and Jenny seem like the nicest people in the world. I wanted to come here and help them out. And yes, their product's awesome too. That's it. So you're right. If we don't need to look big, people want to buy from people, and we need to sell them that. Great example.
Andrew, this has been very informational, inspiring to me, and I'm confident it's to everybody else that listens. It's been a sincere pleasure to have you on, and I thank you for taking of your valuable time to come on here and to share your knowledge, all your experience and learning. Thank you.
Oh man, thanks, Joseph. Thanks for having me. This is really fun. Can't wait to listen to the podcast live and share it with everybody I know, man. Have a good day.
Sounds good. Take care. Wow. Man, I have to say, that was an incredible podcast. I loved some of these insights that I don't know, Andrew's figured out over the course of time. He's experienced however he came to these. Incredible. I mean, really and truly incredible. I hope if this was a little too fast or too much to digest, go to our website, actionableinsights.fm. I have really detailed show notes. It's almost like a separate blog post or separate article, bullet points, some other paragraph form content that's more or less summarizing and redigesting what we talked about here. So whether you're on the road, whether you're working on your computer, whatever it is, you have content that's available to you to answer your questions, to inspire you today. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we are found on all the major sources of podcasting material. If you would mind leaving me a review, that would be, it would make me really happy, because it would show that this content is resonating with you and it makes you excited to see it come out. So it makes me excited. Told him before we recorded this, I'm only 30 years old, but I feel like I have 99% of life still yet to learn. So much to learn. And it's people like Andrew that inspire me to continue on this journey. All right, see you next time in episode number 11. It's gonna be great coming up as well. See you then.